HUDHomestore.com, a selling agent's guide to selling HUD homes, prepared by Edward Hewlitz, Blue Dot Real Estate LLC. Today's goal, we're going to cover what is FHA, FHA Loan Products, what is a NAID, navigating HUDHomestore.com, understanding the sales contract, good neighbor next door, lead-based paint, and answering all your questions. Let's start with HUD's mission. HUD's mission is to create strong, sustainable, inclusive communities and quality, affordable homes for all. HUD is working to strengthen the housing market to bolster the economy and protect consumers, meet the need for quality, affordable rental homes, utilize housing as a platform for improving quality of life, build inclusive and sustainable communities free from discrimination, and transform the way HUD does business. What is FHA? An FHA loan is a mortgage insured by the Federal Housing Administration, a government agency within the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. Borrowers with FHA loans pay for mortgage insurance, which protects the lender from a loss if the borrower defaults on the loan. Because of that insurance, lenders can offer FHA loans at attractive interest rates and with less stringent and more flexible qualification requirements, including a minimum down payment requirement of 3.5%. HUD-owned properties are FHA foreclosed homes. FHA case number. This is HUD's property identification number, unique to each property. It will look something like this pattern: 3 digits, hyphen, and then another 7 digits. What is a NAID? A NAID number is a unique name address identification number issued by HUD. Brokers must register with HUD to receive a NAID number. The same NAID number is used by all agents within the brokerage. The process takes several weeks to complete. The NAID must be renewed annually. Licensed real estate brokers who are registered with HUD may show HUD properties and submit offers for buyers. NAID information is found under the NAID application tab in HUDHomestore.com. HUDHomestore.com. You will need to create a selling agent account at HUDHomestore.com, registering as a bidder. This requires your brokerage's NAID number. Go to the upper right-hand corner and click Bidder to register as a selling agent. Brokers can also check the status of their bids. This site is also available to the public to search for active listings. FHA Loan Products. FHA 203B, no appraisal repairs needed. FHA 203B with repair escrow, appraisal repairs less than $10,000. FHA 203K is a rehabilitation loan for when appraisal repairs are more than $10,000. So tell me again, where do I find HUD homes that are for sale? Easy. Simply go to HUDHomestore.com. HUD properties are listed within the listing broker's MLS. The only exception to this are homes designated in the lottery listing period. So once again, go to HUDHomestore.com. Here's an example. Why don't you run through? Click on the state of South Dakota on the little map. Once you do, you'll see the listings that are coming up for everything in South Dakota. You're able to filter it. So you're going to be directed to the following screen, which lists active HUD homes. See all the criteria? You can refine your search and get to exactly what you're looking for you or for one of your clients. Use the search key, or you can just scroll down and view all the properties page after page of what's available. If you want more details on a property, click on the FHA case number to the right of the photo. This will give you a lot of detailed information. So registering on HUDHomestore.com, go to the right-hand corner and click Register as a Bidder. You're going to need a username and password. And folks, remember to write this down somewhere where you'll remember your login. Hopefully you're keeping some kind of master list on Drive or somewhere so that you won't have to have your password reset all the time. Answer the security questions. Be careful how you spell things and punctuate too. Enter the NAID number that you got. So you need your NAID information. Selling listing broker, selling agent. NAID number, your license number and expiration. Your contact information. Make sure it's a phone number that you actually pick up and that doesn't just go straight to a service. Terms and acceptance. Fill in that annoying CAPTCHA phrase, whatever it is, and submit. Understanding the property details. Property condition codes. IN means insured property. All properties listed as insured are available for FHA financing. The originating lender is responsible for making the final determination whether the property meets the minimum property standards. A property condition code of IE means insured with escrow repairs. A property must have less than $10,000 in required FHA repairs to be an FHA 203B insurable property. The repair requirement is based off the appraisal ordered by the buyer's lender. Property condition code UI means uninsured. Properties listed as uninsured means that repairs or improvements exceeding $10,000 are required. These properties may qualify for the FHA 203K financing, which is the Rehabilitation Loan Program. Buyers may also opt to purchase with conventional financing or cash. See your lender for more details. Owner-occupant. That means it must be their primary residence for 12 months and they could not have purchased a HUD home as an owner-occupant in the past 24 months. Parents buying a home for their children are investment buyers. Falsifying HUD documents is punishable by up to $250,000 fine and 2 years in prison. Important: bid submission deadlines. The deadlines will be listed for each of the properties. It'll tell you who the eligible bidders are, in this case owner-occupants, nonprofits, government agencies only. You'll see the bid submission deadline. It's firm. Be sure to check the time zone. And the remaining time. If the calendar part didn't hit you for that deadline, look at the time remaining so you know your countdown is going. Exclusive listing period. Exclusive listing period for FHA insurable homes is 15 days. Bids coming in on Friday, Saturday, or Sunday will be grouped together for the asset manager's consideration on Monday. Bids coming in on a federal holiday will be grouped with the previous day's bids. Bid submission dates will be extended for bids made on a Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. Bids for an earlier listing period are considered separately from bids from a later listing period. For detailed information on bid submission, please go to the HUDHomestore.com Help tab under Broker Agents. But wait, where can my investor buyer bid on a HUD home? The exclusive bid submission deadline date and time are listed under Listing Information on the Property Details page. For IN and IE, the investor buyer can bid on the property after the exclusive period has expired. Most often that'll be on the 16th day on market. In review, eligible bidders include owner-occupants, nonprofits, and government agencies only. Good neighbor, next-door participants only. Nonprofits and government agents only, or all bidders. Addendums tab. This is where you will find important documents pertaining to the property. Lead-based paint addendum, property condition report, repair disclosure addendum, buyer select closing agent addendum, sales contract package, lead-based paint. If your loan type is FHA 203B and the property was built prior to 1978, upon contract execution, HUD will procure a lead-based paint inspection. If deteriorated lead-based paint was identified in the report, HUD will perform stabilization if the cost estimate is $4,000 or less. If the cost estimate is greater than $4,000, HUD at its sole discretion may 1. Cancel the sales contract, or 2. Allow the purchaser to amend the contract financing to FHA 203K or conventional. In the event that HUD cancels the sale, the purchaser will be entitled to a 100% refund of earnest money. The purchaser shall have the right to review the inspection report, paint stabilization plan, and cost estimate. If the cost estimate is $4,000 or less and the purchaser is dissatisfied with the information provided, the purchaser may withdraw from the contract and receive a full refund of earnest money by providing written notification to HUD of the intention to withdraw. If deteriorated lead-based paint was identified in the report and the purchaser does not exercise their option to withdraw from the sale contract, HUD will stabilize the deteriorated lead-based paint in accordance with the stabilization plan. In addition, HUD will obtain a third-party lead clearance by the close of the escrow period or any extensions thereof. If your loan type is FHA 203K and the property was built prior to 1978, at closing the purchaser shall receive a credit in the amount not to exceed $4,000, representing the seller's contribution toward the cost of stabilization and clearance testing. The credit shall appear on the Form HUD-1 settlement statement and shall be deposited in the 203K repair escrow account. If the actual cost of stabilization exceeds the credit provided, or if the property fails a clearance examination, the purchaser will be responsible for any additional cost. Purchaser shall have the right to review the inspection report, paint stabilization plan, and cost estimate. If the purchaser is dissatisfied with the information provided, the purchaser may withdraw from the contract and receive a full refund of earnest money by providing written notification to the seller of the intention to withdraw. If deteriorated lead-based paint was identified in the report and the purchaser does not exercise his option to withdraw from the sale contract, the purchaser shall stabilize the deteriorated lead-based paint as part of its work plan for the property rehabilitation and shall obtain lead clearance before occupancy. Purchaser shall complete the 203K Rehabilitation Financing-led agreement. No FHA financing of property constructed prior to 1978. The purchase of this property is not being financed with an FHA insured loan. The purchaser has an inspection contingency that expires 15 days from the date of the purchaser's signature below. The property is being sold as is with respect to all conditions, including, subject to the above contingency, the potential presence of lead or lead-based paint hazards. Property Conditions Report, or the PCR. The Property Condition Report will provide some important information regarding the condition of the mechanical systems and plumbing within the home. If the property is damaged plumbing, the water will not be activated for an inspection or appraisal. If the property does not have damaged plumbing, water can be activated for inspections only. If the buyer's appraisal requires active utilities, the appraiser must go to the property while utilities are active during the approved inspection period. Repair Escrow Disclosure Addendum. HUD's FHA appraisal may include required repairs. Since repairs cannot be made to a HUD home prior to closing, the buyer will escrow for the repairs. The Repair Escrow Disclosure Addendum is an outline of repairs as determined by HUD's appraisal. This is for informational purposes only. The cost for said repairs may not be accurate and in fact may not be listed. Your buyer's lender will order an FHA appraisal, and any repairs noted on that appraisal up to $10,000 must be escrowed by the buyer. The buyer will make the repairs after closing. The appraiser will confirm the repairs are complete, and the buyer's escrow funds will then be returned. If the appraisal required repairs are greater than $10,000, the property is deemed FHA uninsurable, but an FHA 203K loan can be obtained. Buyer Select Addendum. The purchase contract is eligible for participation in the HUD Buyer Select Pilot Closing Agent Program. It is the responsibility of the purchaser to choose their own escrow closing company. HUD will not pay for the escrow closing service. It will be the responsibility of the purchaser. Buyer Select Closing Date Extension Policy. If the closing date stipulated in the contract cannot be met, the purchaser or purchasers may request an extension of the closing date. Extensions of time to close are at the seller's discretion and, if granted, will be under the following guidelines. The request for extension must be received by the asset manager no later than 5 calendar days prior to the expiration date of the contract. The extension will be granted for a 15-day calendar period. The extension fee for a 15-day calendar period will be $375, $25 per day. Submitting a bid. In property details, scroll to the bottom of the page. HUD registered bidder? Submit an offer. Here's where you can see it right down here. You have to verify your NAID number, your license number, and type in that lovely CAPTCHA. Notice at the top it says 13 hours 28 minutes remaining. When you get to the bid submission form, you'll notice too, double check line 3, the agreed purchase price of the property is. Check it twice, check it 3 times. The purchaser is another place where you will have to make a selection. Fill this out completely. All fields are required. You continue down. Anything, of course, with a red asterisk is required. Make sure you have all this information handy to make this part very simple to fill out. Bid acceptance. When your bid has been accepted, it is conditional on receipt and review of HUD Sales Contract Package. The Sales Contract Package must be received by Sage Acquisitions within 2 business days of acceptance. If bid acceptance is received on a Monday, the contract package must be received by Sage Acquisitions on Wednesday. If bid acceptance is received on a Friday, the contract package must be received by Sage Acquisitions by the following Tuesday. There is 0 tolerance for contract package error. The sales contract must be signed in blue ink. I don't think we can make this any louder. It must be blue, not black, not red, blue. How to fill out the sales contract package correctly. Information provided in the sales contract must match the information submitted in the bid. If a correction is needed, fill out the contract package with the corrected information and include an addendum which explains the correction. Whether it's the buyer's name was spelled incorrectly, the buyer's address is incorrect, the buyer's financing type is incorrect. You cannot change the terms of the contract. Included in the sales contract package are the following. The information page. The fields in here will automatically fill in the entire contract. Sales contract checklist, instructions for sales contract, conditions of sale, electronic filing of HUD 9548 contract addendum. For your protection, get a home inspection, owner-occupant certification, selling broker commission addendum, purchaser's right and responsibilities, forfeiture of earnest money policy, buyer select closing agent, closing date extension policy, rate on gas and mold notice, flood zone addendum, buyer select closing agent contract addendum, HUD closing instructions, lead-based paint addendum if property was built prior to 1978, and earnest money receipt confirmation. Information page. Must match the accepted bid. Reference your bid confirmation, which can be found in your HUD Home Store account under Review Bids. Title style: as a single person, as a married couple, etc. Selling agent broker information must match what HUD has on file on the most recent broker NAID renewal application. Closing agent escrow company information. This is buyer's choice. Escrow officer's email should not be a generic business account like closings at ABC Title Company. You will need to ask the title company for their title ID and state license numbers as well. Sales contract. You would want John H. Doe and Mary P. Doe, not John H. and Mary P. Doe. This is really important to have that accuracy in the listings in these fields. If buyer is a corp, LLC, etc., the sales contract package must include their legal entity state documentation as well as confirmation of signing authority. Financing type: FHA 203B, FHA 203B with repair escrow, or FHA 203K. Financing type: cash, conventional, or other financing not involving FHA. Seller will pay reasonable and customary buyer closing costs up to 3%, customary for the area. If these costs are not addressed in the accepted bid, HUD will not pay any of the costs, including the title and closing fee. Owner-occupant purchaser must occupy the home as their primary residence for 12 months and cannot have purchased a HUD-owned home as an owner-occupied buyer in the last 24 months. Discount at closing, good neighbor next door, nonprofit organization, etc. The sale will close not later than 45 days with an insured or uninsured financed offer, not later than 30 days with a cash offer, and not later than 60 days with a 203K financed offer. Social Security numbers must be accurate. Conditions of sale. Assessments are prorated to date of closing. Seller makes no warranties or representations concerning the condition of the property. It is important for a buyer to have a home inspection if FHA insured financing is used. $200 of the cost of the home inspection can be financed into the mortgage. Lender letter is now included in the sales contract package. Seller may cancel the contract if it is determined that there are title issues that seller is unable or unwilling to remove. No repairs can be performed on the property prior to closing. Buyer cannot take possession of the property prior to closing. Risk of loss or damage is assumed by seller prior to closing. If property is being offered with FHA insured financing, seller's acceptance constitutes a commitment to insure. The buyer understands that seller's list price is seller's estimate of fair market value. Defective lead-based paint is defined as cracking, scaling, chipping, peeling, or loose paint on all exterior and interior surfaces. Lead-based paint inspections are now performed and paid for by HUD on properties built prior to 1978 and that are being financed with FHA insured financing after the contract has been ratified. If an LBP inspection, lead-based paint, was performed prior to contract acceptance, the results will be disclosed by HUD. The effective date of the contract is the date it is signed by seller. Falsifying information is a felony. Electronic filing of HUD 9548. HUD 9548 is the sales contract. All parties certified, warrant, and represent that no content of the HUD 9548 contract has been altered or omitted in any manner. True and accurate copy. Broker and buyer have read and understand conditions of sale and acknowledge that no contract or binding agreement exists until the executed HUD 9548 is returned to purchaser. Falsifying information is a felony and punishable by a fine not to exceed $250,000 and or a prison sentence of not more than 2 years. For your protection, get a home inspection. The buyer has a 15-day inspection period from the date the purchase contract is executed. Owner-occupant certification. Buyer must occupy property as their primary residence for 12 months. Buyer cannot have purchased a HUD-owned property as an owner-occupant in the past 24 months. Broker certification is required on this form. Selling broker commission addendum. Full and complete satisfaction of any compensation due selling broker. Purchaser's rights and responsibilities addendum. This covers the condition of property, the importance of a home inspection, 15-day contract cancellation contingency for owner-occupant, applicable to the FHA 203K financing. Other important information. Keys are not provided to buyer or selling agent. It is the buyer's responsibility to have the home rekeyed after closing. Forfeiture of earnest money policy. Failure to close will result in forfeiture of earnest money except in the following special exceptions. Owner
occupant,
occupant,
100% will be refunded.
Death in the family,
If there's a
recent
death in
serious
the family,
illness that alters buyer's
recent
ability
serious
to purchase,
illness that
loss
alters
of a job
buyer's
or income
abilities to
at no
purchase,
fault of the buyer.
loss of a
HUD
job or
determines
income at no
insured sale
fault of the
purchaser
buyer.
is not an acceptable
HUD
borrower.
determines insured sale
Uninsured sale
purchaser is
pre-approved
not an
purchaser
acceptable
is unable
borrower.
to obtain financing,
Uninsured sales
and for other
pre-approved
good
purchaser
cause
is
as
unable to
determined by the
obtain
field
financing,
office.
and for other
Owner
good cause
occupant,
as
50%
determined by
will
the
be
field
refunded.
office.
Uninsured sale. Despite
Owner
good faith
occupant,
efforts,
50%
buyers
will be
unable to
refunded.
obtain financing.
This is for an uninsured
Owner
sale.
occupant,
Despite good
100%
faith
will be
efforts, buyer is
forfeited
unable
in
to
cases
obtain
where no
financing.
documentation is submitted or documentation
Owner
fails to provide
occupant,
an
100%
acceptable
will be
cause for buyer's
forfeited
failure to
in cases
close,
where
or
no
documentation
documentation is
not provided
submitted
within a
or
reasonable time
documentation
following
fails to
contract
provide an
cancellation.
acceptable cause for buyer's
MMREM
failure.
must receive documentation within 10 days
For buyer's
following
failure
contract
to
cancellation.
For
Investor,
buyer's failure to
uninsured
close or
sale,
documentation
none.
is not provided within a
Insured
reasonable
sale.
time
HUD determines
following
purchaser
contract
is not an
cancellation.
acceptable borrower.
Sage
50%
Acquisitions
will be
must
returned.
receive documentation within 10 days following contract cancellation. In the case of an investor, uninsured sale, none. Uninsured sale, HUD determines purchaser is not an acceptable borrower. 50% will be refunded.
Buyer select closing agent, closing date extension policy. Extensions of the time to close are at the seller's discretion. BSCA extension request form. Cause of delay. Must be received by asset manager no later than 5 calendar days prior to contract expiration. 15 days extension, incur a fee of $375 in certified funds. At time of closing, unused fee is prorated to the buyer. Granting of initial extension does not obligate seller to grant future extension requests. Extension fees will be retained by the seller if the closing does not occur. Radon gas and mold notice and release agreement. HUD-owned properties are sold as is. Seller has no knowledge of radon gas or mold in, on, or around the property other than what is described on the website of the seller or otherwise made available to the purchaser. Radon is an invisible, odorless, gaseous, radioactive element. Mold is a general term for visible growth of fungus. Real estate brokers and agents are not qualified to advise purchasers on radon or mold treatment or its health and safety risks. Purchasers are encouraged to obtain the services of a professional to conduct inspections and tests regarding radon and mold prior to closing. Flood zone addendum. For properties located in the FEMA Special Flood Hazard Area, purchasers agree if using FHA financing and flood insurance is available through the National Flood Hazard Insurance Program, they will obtain flood insurance throughout the duration of their ownership. Coverage shall be equal to or greater than the replacement value of the improvements as indicated on the appraisal. Purchasers agree to make flood insurance a condition of any future sale. Buyer select closing, agent contract addendum. It is the responsibility of the buyer to choose their own escrow closing company. HUD will not pay for the escrow closing service. Authorize Sage Acquisitions to release a copy of the sales contract and all addenda to the closing agent escrow company listed on the form. This must match HUD 9548 sales contract, line 9. To be eligible to close HUD transactions, the closing agent must have a minimum of $1 million in error and omissions insurance. HUD closing instructions. This covers general settlement instructions for the closing agent escrow company. Must be signed by the closing company representative. All 5 pages of the closing instructions must be included in the contract package. Utility activation procedures. Utility activation is the responsibility of the buyer. Utilities can be activated for a period of no more than 72 hours. A cost of $125 will be collected from the buyer prior to approval to cover the cost of re-winterizing the property. This is only between October 1st and March 31st. Selling agents must go to sageacq.com and then scroll over the Forms tabs. Select the HOC region the home is located in, then select FSM Utility Activation Request Forms. At that point, select the correct HOC region the home is located in. Download the form, fill it out, and submit as directed on the form. Sage must authorize all utilities to be activated before the utilities can be turned on. Good neighbor next door. HUD offers certain single-family properties for sale to police officers, pre-kindergarten through 12th grade teachers, firefighters, and emergency medical technicians at a 50% discount. HUD requires the GNND buyer to sign a second mortgage and note for the discount amount. There is no interest or payments on the second mortgage provided the buyer fulfills the 3-year occupancy requirement. After the buyer lives in the home for 3 years, they can sell the home and keep any equity and or appreciation. If the buyer moves out of the home prior to the 3-year requirement, they will have to repay HUD on a prorated schedule. Lottery listings only will include home designated in the Good Neighbor Next Door program. These homes are in this program for 7 days. The buyer may not own a home as a primary residence in the 12 months prior to submitting the bid. They must certify that it is in their good faith intention to remain employed as a law enforcement officer, teach, firefighter, or EMT for 1 year beginning with their purchase. Single unit homes, townhomes, and condominiums are available in this program. Buyers can use FHA conventional, VA financing, or cash to purchase the home. HUD does not pay buyer closing costs in the GNND program. The list price is the purchase price. The 50% discount is taken from the list price. Revitalization areas are designated by HUD and authorized by Congress and are intended to promote the revitalization of that area through expanded home ownership opportunities. GNND participants contribute to community revitalization by becoming homeowners throughout this program. If more than one GNND bid is submitted, the decision as to which offer is accepted is based on a lottery drawing, as all offers will be identical. Earnest money deposit requirement is an amount equal to 1% of the list price, but no less than $500 and no more than $2,000. HUD does not pay listing or selling broker commission on properties sold in the GNND program. However, HUD will authorize up to 5% commissions to be paid by the buyer to the selling brokerage. Keys. As a reminder, keys are not provided to the buyer or selling agent at closing. It is the buyer's responsibility to have the home rekeyed after closing. You can find additional information at HUD.gov. All forms and addendums can be located at sageacquisitions.com. This presentation has been provided to you as a courtesy from Edward Hewlett's Blue Dot Real Estate, Inc. For additional questions related to the HUD home buying process, or if you're interested in purchasing a HUD home, please contact us. Blue Dot Real Estate, Edward Hewlett's, edward@hewletts.com, 206-866-5844. For property-specific needs, contact Sage Acquisitions at one of our 3 locations: Atlanta HOC, Denver HOC, or Philadelphia HOC. Thank you for listening to this presentation, and we hope you found it helpful. Again, let us know if you have any questions. Contact us directly at Blue Dot Real Estate.